Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of F122, my team crew. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we head to the Spanish Grand Prix, where hopefully it's not a repeat of last season where it's just the Pain GP at Circuit de Catalunya. We're very excited to head to Barcelona this episode here. Now more upgrades have been successful, putting Porsche Trackhouse, I think, the highest it's ever been actually. We're only the third worst team on the grid now. However, you see we're still very close with Aston Martin and Williams, which means it's very well possible we could still go into Spain and be a last place car. But however, it's nice to see us making gains here. Finally, some actual gains this team is making, and hopefully we keep that momentum going here, especially after the last few episodes. We've been having absolutely tremendous results here in these Grand Prix in Miami with an 11th place, as well as Imola with an 11th place. Both of those GPs, a lot went our way. We had a lot of luck on our set to get both of those P11 finishes, because we still don't have a car that has raw P11 pace or so. But however, we've been able to execute and just keep the nose clean. Keeping the car in one piece has really been a big thing against some of the AI in some of these races so far this season, because a lot of them have run into trouble and picked up damage, and then of course have to come in and repair their front wing, and that's what's allowed me to get ahead of them. So we're hoping that we can see once again repeated that, and I keep my nose here in one piece, keep that front wing in nice shape and good condition here. But we come through into practice, and it took me a few laps to kind of get into a comfortable feel here in Spain, but I would definitely find a nice rhythm here now, and I was for some reason just enjoying this track a lot more than I usually do. Usually I never look forward to coming to this Catalunya track, but I was actually thoroughly enjoying it this time around, especially compared to Season 1. I don't know what it was, actually. I was running the exact same setup as I had in Season 1, other than some tire pressure changes I did make to the setup. But however, it was overall very comfortable, and as well, it felt pretty speedy here with this Trackhouse machine. So you see here, we were easily beating the Delta for the race strategy. I was losing most of my time in that third sector shocker there, but we would end up actually P4 in practice. I've noticed we've been finishing quite well in the practice sessions so far this season, but obviously it's not translating to anything there. You see our team in the tailport chair down in last place. It's been a rough start to tailport chair's F1 career, and hopefully we can see a bit of a change up here today, because I know Justin Marks, even though we're still about just developing the car, he wants to see both of us close together, but we have been quite a ways ahead of Tail in all the races this season, while Porchair's been quite a ways behind. But we've only done, what, 4 or 5 Grand Prix, so he's got some time to learn here now as we continue on here now into the first and opening qualifying session here in the Spanish GP weekend, now into turn 1. And as you guys know, it kind of felt or kind of followed the overall trend of every qualifying session for me. My first lap of Q1 was a pretty sloppy one. It wasn't the greatest lap I've ever put down in the history of Formula 1, that's for sure, here as we come through this final chicane and down through the sweeping right-hander here in this final turn, and where we're going to come down this front straightaway to cross the line for a very mediocre at best kind of lap here. We did beat Porchair's lap, which was a bit concerning, but we were down in P20, so a little bit lower than I was hoping to see here. So we make the second lap here late in the session, and we find a good chunk of time here through this sweeping right-hander, got the braking zone really well, and then actually towards this third and final sector, you see as well, we've gained about 0.4 of a second at this point here. This is really the most technical part of the track, and it is just so fun to drive through. But when you get it wrong, when you get one of these parts wrong right here in these corners, it's just like you're gonna get the whole thing wrong. So we managed to actually hit it though pretty well. We're gonna find about 4.5 of a second extra as we cross the line, but we only go P19. So I decided to actually make another lap. I keep going actually here, and we managed to find even more time, surprisingly. So coming through towards the end of this now second attempt here on our second run, and the only issue was I was running out of battery really quick, so I did lose quite a bit of time. You can see I was actually back in the red, but by the time we come through this final corner, we find a little bit more time there, and we get about a 10th extra, which we're going to cross the line. And actually that extra 10th gets us to P17 for the time being. We will though start the GP from P20. It's 3 Canadians at the bottom of the grid, and look at this, Porchair actually beat my lap here by about 0.2 of a second, so nice improvement from him, not enough from us. P20 on the grid. Let's head to the grid here for the Spanish GP, hopefully move our way forward.
Welcome along then to what promises to be another fascinating Spanish Grand Prix. It's a race which saw Max Verstappen take victory on his first ever appearance with the Red Bull team in 2016, after that dramatic coming together of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. Will we see more moments for the scrapbook here today? The Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya then, a high-speed 2.89-mile circuit which demands an efficient downforce package and bravery on the part of the driver, especially especially through the blind right of turn 9, which we might just see taken flat out this weekend. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Vettel, Ocon, Sainz, Norris, and Valtteri Bottas. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ricciardo, Mick Schumacher, Oscar Piastri, and Gasly, Albon, Joe, Théo Pourchaire, and Kevin Magnussen, Tsunoda, Golden Boy, Latifi, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And with me today, of course, is Natalie Pinkham. Why don't we discuss Red Bull? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within the team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do. And that has definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Ready to go lights out here from the Spanish Grand Prix here now, as there's been a bit of a back and forth season between drivers like Leclerc and Russell and Verstappen as well. Sebastian Vettel seems to be heating up here over the last few episodes now, as we are on the soft to hard compound tire strategy here, and actually a lot of drivers back here are going to be on that soft compound tire for the start here now, as we get ready to grid up from P23. Canadians here at the bottom of the grid, myself, Nicholas Latifi, as well as Lance Stroll here now, as it's going to be momentarily 5 red lights. Max Verstappen will lead the way as it's going to be lights out. We are underway, and Sergio Perez alongside him in the Alpine with a great Q3 there in second place. Not quite as good of a start there as his former Red Bull Racing teammate of Verstappen, but he's going to try and swing back to the left-hand side. Verstappen takes the defensive line down into turn 1. Perez briefly gets alongside, 3 wide there in the background. You got the Ferrari in the middle, the 2 Mercedes of Hamilton and Russell there absolutely engulfing Charles Leclerc, but they all managed to make it work and no contact there. Looks like Hamilton actually had a bit of a bobble there. No, that's actually George Russell there who had the oversteer, so he loses some ground. Hamilton's alongside Leclerc there and slipping and sliding as well. A lot of oversteer for some of these drivers on these opening moments here of this first lap, and they're on that medium compound tire. They're not going to be the most grippy, but certainly you would expect it to have a little bit more grip there now as they continue side by side. You can't go side by side through there. They make it work. Hamilton trying to get out in front of Leclerc. It's been a very up and down season so far for Hamilton. 1 win on the season though in Imola, and he gets in front of Leclerc for now, but here goes the Monegasque driver back to the right side here as we head down towards this sweeping left-hander. Sebastian Vettel here in the mix as well, ready to pounce, and Russell just behind as you see Verstappen and Perez leading the way, but Leclerc manages to defend well enough and stays ahead briefly here for P3, and we'll see how long that lasts, because that was a wild attempt there from Lewis Hamilton to try and gain the position. Unfortunately for him, just didn't quite work out here. Now for myself in this opening lap, I was actually battling for the penultimate position here, second last with Lance Stroll, but we would be ahead of him. It wasn't a great start for me. I had a lot of wheel spin, so I actually dropped down to dead last and managed to pass Lance, so and now we move up into P21 as Verstappen and Perez lead the way. P1 and P2. Hamilton actually now under attack from Sebastian Vettel, 2 good old friends right here, and Vettel on the hard compound tires certainly just can't quite get it to grip up as much as Lewis is capable of doing there, as you see as well. Carlos Sainz actually up the inside in the McLaren of now Sebastian Vettel, but once again you can see that hard compound tire is even worse for grip right now, because he was slipping and sliding. Vettel was here as they continue side by side through the left-hander. Who's going to come out on top of this battle? I'm going to have to say it's going to be Sainz based off the grip levels. Bottas and Russell just in the background there, ready to attack if need be here. Now there you see the slip from Vettel, and through goes Sainz. Some really awesome battles on these opening laps here in the Spanish Grand Prix now, as you can see myself currently settled in to P21, so we had some work to do, but we were on the back here of Nicholas Latifi. He actually had wing damage. That's why you see me send one around the outside, so he picked up some wing damage here on lap 2 at some point with the battle, and I would actually just make a bold move there and make it work. So we move up into P20 here as we continue to see the battles happening around the track. Lewis Hamilton again on lap 3 now to the right hand side of Leclerc with the DRS in his favor, and this is into sector 3. Once again might have been a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, but you can see Leclerc just doesn't have the grip. He loses P3. What is going on there with the defending World Drivers Champion, and what in my opinion is this championship favorite as well, with 2 wins already already under his belt this season as well, most recently in Miami here, as we're all over the back now of Zhou Guanyu as we head down into the braking zone. We're trying to go the long way around here of Zhou, and we're going to make it happen. Just not a lot of grip there in that Alfa Romeo. A lot of cars are struggling for grip here so far in this Grand Prix, and not only the AI, but myself at certain points as well. The car definitely dealing with a lot of oversteer as we continue on here, but now settled in to the 18th position here. A couple cars did have to come into the pit lane, one of them being Pierre Gasly, as well as the obvious one with Nicholas Latifi. So we get another spot due to Gasly here. Pitting now, Sebastian Vettel now actually trying to go around the outside of Leclerc. This is a driver on a hard compound tire in a bit of a slower car that just passed the fastest car on the medium compound tire. What is going on here with Leclerc? It wasn't over because Russell's now trying to pass Leclerc now on lap 7, and Bottas is all over the back of Leclerc. You have to think that there might be something going on in that Ferrari. Usually when we've seen kind of a lack of pace in a really good car like this, it ends up with a mechanical failure at some point in the race. So I was seeing this, anticipating that Leclerc might have a mechanical issue because Russell would get ahead. It wouldn't last long. There was a lot of just battling going on for position up there, and I can't confirm Russell would actually get repassed by Leclerc and then actually lose a few more positions, Russell would. So he would fall a little ways down the order here. So look at this battle we're finding ourselves engulfed in here. Zhou Guanyu was trying to put the attack to me. I'm all over the back here of Yuki Tsunoda and my teammate Mateo Porcher as well, who's up to P16, and Tsunoda leaves the right side open there. The two Porsches are going to go side by side here into the left sweeping hander now, and we're going to get ahead of Tsunoda because Porcher just had a terrible apex right there. Just couldn't get the car going. Now we're alongside Tail here, but we can't really go side by side through here, so I'm going to back out and let Tail hold the position here and drop down to P17. Battles continue though. There was side by side up there in front of us, Daniel Ricciardo, Kevin Magnussen, who's having a strong run currently in the Aston Martin. He's had his certainly up and downs here so far this season for Aston Martin as well here. Now as you see Tsunoda trying to go to my right hand side, I'm right there behind Porcher. I could have lunged one up the inside of Porcher, but I just didn't want to be that kind of teammate here on lap 8, so I decided to actually just stay in behind him because I knew I could stay ahead of Tsunoda, or at least I thought I could stay ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, because now he's actually going to be alongside us on the right side, and oh, Porcher makes a mistake right there, and that's going to absolutely destroy my chances of staying ahead of Yuki there in the Porsche AlphaTauri. So we actually dropped down a spot there into P18 now, as you can see Magnussen in the pit lane. So we picked up wing damage in that battle with Ricciardo, and I got tired of being stuck in this traffic. I make an audible here. I decided to pit one lap earlier than the previously scheduled pit stop. So we come in on lap 9, come into lap 10 instead of lap 10, come into lap 11. As you can see, that was the current pit window that just now opened. So we're going to hope that we can kind of do what we did in Miami, do a bit of an undercut here and have it be successful, but it's very hit or miss here. I was a little bit unsure of how this one was going to work because you can see, of course, this track, a lot of corners, and with a hard compound tire that's not going to be up to temperature, we very well actually might have made a mistake here, and that undercut very well might not work in our favor, and we might lose more than we even come close to breaking even. So we'll have to wait and see here momentarily now, as you can see myself immediately trying to get those hard compound tires warmed up. I still love this feature of actually having to get these hard compound tires warmed up before they really do operate here. As you can see, lap 11, here's Valtteri Bottas going around the outside of Leclerc. That really tells you there's got to be something going on, because not because Bottas is passing him, but just because of the lack of the pace and the continuous falling down the order from Leclerc. An easy pass for Bottas. Leclerc down to 7th place, and there's Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, followed by George Russell and Oscar Piastri currently in the points here for the first time in his F1 career. There you see the results of the attempted undercut. It did not work. You know, you can see Tsunoda 1.7 seconds ahead of, instead of myself being on his rear diffuser. Oscar Piastri, now lap 12, is actually making a pass on the World Drivers' Champion from last season. Look at this, and there's a little bit of contact actually between the two drivers, and Leclerc just has nothing. Piastri gets ahead there of Leclerc, who drops now down to 8th place. Absolutely miserable GP it has turned in for Charles Leclerc here, easily in the Spanish Grand Prix, and what could have been a big opportunity for him to extend his championship lead. But obviously that's not going to happen here today from the looks of it now, as we still have a lot of racing to go, and pit stops for the leaders haven't even kicked off yet really, so there's still a lot of time for things to change. And don't forget the possibility as well for a safety car at any point here throughout the remainder of this Grand Prix. Look what I did. I actually picked up some underbody damage. That's the second GP in a row that I've done that, and that time it came off of a curb, not off of somebody else, say, turning into my car here now, as I was all over the back of Lance Stroll with the DRS. Finally, after these hard compound tires kind of got heated up, kind of got worked in, and got into that optimal temperature operating range, I was able to make some moves here and pass the Canadian. So some definite gains right there here. Now, as you can see, the pit stops were starting to kick off here. Lewis Hamilton coming in, and so was Sergio Perez, and we were expecting this Max Verstappen Verstappen to come in here momentarily, but Verstappen actually stays out a little bit longer here, and he can kind of get away with that, but he would come in on lap 18. I mean, so far, it has been a dominant Grand Prix for Max Verstappen there in that Porsche Red Bull Racing team. Really no beating Max today unless something crazy happens there. You saw a good pit stop for him as the battles were continuing to pick up here in front of us. Pourchaire all over the back of both Tsunoda as well as Alex Albon here now as I'm trying to join the party. Someone went wide up there. That was, I couldn't even tell who that actually was here, but we're going to be all over the back of Pourchaire here, and that was Albon actually that had the issues now as we're going to be alongside Pourchaire. No favors for teammates now. We're here to race at this point here, and you see Tsunoda slowing up there in front of us, but then he has some oversteer. I'm able to get in front of Pourchaire, and we continue alongside Tsunoda. I kind of run him out of a little bit of room, but I tried to be respectful there, but we got the position. So we continue to move forward. Lando Norris loses a spot to us. He came into the pit lane. I believe he actually had some wing damage, so we had to make a additional pit stop. So we were all of a sudden finding ourselves up here in 14th place, which is a pretty good run here going for us suddenly now, as we're continuing to try and now run down Alex Albon. Russell, who's having a miserable ending of this Grand Prix with some issues there. He drops out of spot. I'm slipping and sliding a big oversteer right there. We save it, but it opens the door for Tsunoda here now to go alongside. We're sideways again, contact with Tsunoda, and that might have actually done damage to our front wing, but suddenly everything going wrong, and I'm just basically panicking at this point. Big oversteer there. We do more damage to the underbody of the car over the sausage curb. What an absolute mess this has turned into suddenly. I have wing damage, sure enough, and now Pourchaire with the DRS who is all over the back of me is actually going to be able to be alongside down into turn 1. He's going to complete the pass. I really just wasn't confident with the wing damage to just dive on in there like he was able to. In a matter of 3 corners, everything went wrong for us here. Now, as you can see, speaking of things going wrong, Charles Leclerc trying to defend over Ocon results in damage to Esteban Ocon's front wing because Ocon drove directly into the back of Leclerc. Look at the understeer there. Piastri sweeps around the left-hand side. Albon's going to look up the right-hand side, and George Russell, he might make it 3 wide. He at least showed the nose. It didn't work out there, but Ocon, he's going to go a little bit wide there. Nearly contact with Russell. Off the circuit goes Ocon there in the Alpine. He somehow collects it from going into the barrier. He remains in the race, but he had to wait to get out of the way for traffic. I was under attack from Kevin Magnussen. You saw some contact right there. Some wheel-to-wheel contact that was, and we stay ahead, but I'm struggling hard here with the wing damage. We're back into P14, and you see our team at a tail Pourchaire, but a P13. The chance for points are real for Pourchaire because we would both move up another position. Not for a good reason for Charles Leclerc, though, because he was the reason we were gaining the position. He would be out of the Grand Prix with a mechanical failure. Leclerc out. We thought it was coming. Well, sure enough, it was Leclerc with a mechanical failure out, and that's huge for his championship season. It's still early in the season, but I mean, little things like that are going to be the difference maker by the time we get to Abu Dhabi, and of course, well, you know, Brazil, and as well the final other races leading up to that Abu Dhabi championship finale here as we continue to try and close in on Pourchaire, but it wasn't happening with that wing damage. Magnussen is actually going to swing to my right-hand side down towards turn 1, and I don't really have much for Magnussen or confidence really under braking with the wing damage that I have picked up. So down to P14, but then we were back up at a P13 due to another car that had to pit for wing damage here, but unfortunately Mark comes over the radio, tells me Teo Pourchaire has a mechanical issue, not a failure, an issue, but he would quickly lose pace to where he was actually going to be the next car in front of me within the matter of moments here. Now, by the time we were coming through to the end of lap 26, and I knew I was going to be able to make an easy pass on Pourchaire here momentarily, and that was when we came through to lap 28 here. Now, DRS wide open, no DRS for Pourchaire, and it's not even going to be a contest. We're going to go to the left side, nearly actually ran into the back of Tail there, but we clear him down towards turn 1, back up to P12, and things have gone wrong, and it was my own doing in this race with the damage that we've picked up on this car, but fortunately the wing damage wasn't severe enough, of course, to really halt our progress too much there. Lance Stroll out of the Grand Prix, another mechanical failure there, so 2 cars in the closing, 10 or so laps have a mechanical failure here, but you can see the struggles continue with this wing damage though, and here goes Lando Norris around the outside, not even a contest there, I couldn't fight him, so down to P13 we go, and we come through to start our final lap of the Grand Prix here, as Max Verstappen for the first time this season, we're going to go a lap down, and it will be to Max Verstappen, who's had a dominant performance here in the Spanish Grand Prix, and here he is all over the back of us, trying my best to stay ahead of Pierre Gasly. We're about to have a fight with them here in these closing moments that we barely stay ahead, but by the time we come through towards this DRS zone, Gasly all over the back of me, struggling with the wing damage. He's going to get aggressive. He gets the elbows out right side of my car. He goes and clears us. What a move from Gasly, but I said, hold on. I wasn't very happy about that. I wanted to try and do the same thing right back to him and kind of catch him off guard. It doesn't work. He shuts the door. Fair play right there. That was a silly move on myself to begin with, but I was a little bit salty that he just did me dirty like that. Not saying he drove dirty. I'm just saying I just got done dirty by just, I mean, absolute embarrassing pass. I just let him pull on me right there. Now, as we head through the final chicane, Max Verstappen is going to come through to win the Spanish Grand Prix, the same venue he won his first ever Formula 1 race at. Here comes Zhou Guanyu actually trying to catch me off guard as well at the line. We barely hold him off, and we still do end up with a respectable finish on the day with some help from failures and driver issues. P14 is where we end up here in the Spanish Grand Prix. We're going to send to the podium, driver of the day, Pierre Gasly.
They've done it then. A spectacular victory here in Spain and a massive confidence boost going into the next race. So, Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
Look at that podium. That's the first time I think this season we've had both of the Porsche Red Bull drivers on the podium. Max Verstappen as well as you see Sebastian Vettel. And how about the McLaren of Carlos Sainz? So awesome to see Carlos Sainz as well on the podium. But Vettel, he got his first podium for the Red Bull Porsche return in the last episode in Miami. And that was P3, I think it was. And now he's upgraded a little bit further to P2. Could he maybe be lining up for a win going into what Monaco, I think, is in the next episode? So you never know with Monaco. Vettel, of course, he's won Monaco before, never ruled it up, but so was Max Verstappen there. You see our teammate at tailport chair. Unfortunate for him how that worked out, but he still gets a career best P16. Verstappen takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship by just a few points, 3 points over Charles Leclerc and Russell's there, right there in the mix. And don't count out Sebastian Vettel, who's creeping his way up here into the mix as well, although it doesn't help when his teammate, who's ahead of him in points, beats him for the race victory. But we're getting some more upgrades in the car. I was kind of looking at what we wanted to upgrade, and I decided that we're going to go for the DRS maximum slot gap here. I thought about rushing it, but I decided we're just going to do the standard upgrade. So this will be coming not even after Monaco, it'll be coming after Baku. So we got a little bit of time before the next big upgrade on the car, so hopefully we don't lose very much progress. But I mean, what an episode, and ups and downs and issues that were all brought to the car by myself there, with hurting the underbody on the curbs, and then of course getting loose and running into the side of Sonoda while trying to save my car, and then going over the sausage curb again and just damaging it further. But we still held on to a respectable finish. That's going to do it for me. And the next one, we head into the Monaco Grand Prix. If you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Those would all be very, very appreciated. And I will see you guys in the next one, where I hope we can see Sebastian Vettel go to the top step of the podium. But we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching, and have yourselves a great day.